You know, it seems that yesterday word came out through Sean Ross Sapp, Fightful Select, and other places that Vince McMahon basically vinced SmackDown. Basically got his hands on SmackDown and I guess, blew it up or something. And there were reports that talent was frustrated. Now, it's kind of weird, though, that this comes out, just hours before SmackDown airs. And you think we would know about this maybe at the beginning of the day or something. Not right away. And that kind of got a lot of, fans, a majority of casual, if not hardcore fans, of all wrestling, kind of suspicious, like, why would this come out just hours before SmackDown? And we're hearing reports of talent being frustrated and that doesn't make sense. Doesn't add up. And there are some, if not many, that believe all these outlets are doing is just trying to get your attention. Trying to get you to click onto the paywalls to see what's going on, follow them on social media and everything. That they are doing everything for attention. And look, in today's day and age, with places like Twitter and Facebook and Tumblr and Instagram and YouTube and all that, look, that's probably a good thing, especially if you do this for a living, or at least mostly a living, or partially a living. That's a good thing. But sometimes you have to really take what's reported with a grain of salt. I said it before a couple of weeks, about a month or so ago. I said, don't believe everything these sites say. Don't ever believe them. Because you don't know whether or not they're being told the truth, too. Because if there's one thing we know about wrestling companies, is that they love to stir the pot. And they'll even, believe it or not, have the superstars help along that way, if you will. They'll have the stars help along the way by saying, hey, go out there and say that you're frustrated with the Brawling Brutes booking. Or go out there and reveal in an interview that Vince McMahon was always part of creative and everything. Go out and do that and see what happens. See what happens. See if we can get a reaction. And that's basically what it is. And you know what? They will do it. They will do it because they know that if they go out there and say these things, about what's going on, with a little bit of truth put in there, that it will get people's attention, it'll get a reaction from them, and it'll get their eyes put onto the WWE product to see whether or not these things are true or can be improved on. That's what this is about. It's all about getting a reaction out of the fans. Getting, even if it's wrong, to get under their skin to get a reaction. That's what they're doing. That is what they're doing. And some fans that I've talked about before, very notable ones here on YouTube, like JD from Off the Script, Solomonster, Alex of Just Alex's World, and many others. Those that do this for a living or a partial living, they when they hear what's going on, yeah, it frustrates them. It gets under their skin. It pisses them off. But you know what? That's exactly what companies like WWE and, believe it or not, AEW like to do. They like to do this stuff because they know the more it gets under your skin, the more it really just ignites that flame in you for, the disdain of what's going on. The more they know they're doing the job in getting you to pay attention to their product. That is what they're doing. That is what they're doing. And they're doing a masterful job at it. Again, you don't think stars like Ricochet and Sheamus in the recent interviews that they did, do you not think the timing's kind of weird as to why they would come out and say that? Especially as we're heading into Money in the Bank? I mean, I'm just saying. It feels kind of odd, It feels kind of odd. And yet, by coming out and saying these things and getting people to talk about them, guess what? It gets attention on WWE. It's giving them what they want. And you're all falling for it. you're all falling for it. That's the thing. You're all falling for it. And you need to wake up and realize that. You need to wake up and realize that. I mean, even those that say they have reliable sources within the companies of WWE, AEW, Impact, MLW, New Japan, even those are falling. Even those people are falling for it, and they don't see it. They do not see it. And why do they not see it? Because of the fact that it is made to sound so believable that you are bound to believe it. And you just don't get it. You just don't see it. And to me, again, it just shows that these companies are doing their job. It does. I mean, look, is there evidence out there that Vince McMahon last night pretty much pretty much got his hands and just I wouldn't say emasculated, but basically, molded and, molded and crafted SmackDown in his image? Is there evidence that he did that? No. You're just going off word of mouth. And you don't know whether or not these sources are telling you this information you don't know whether or not it's true, or they're just doing it to get a reaction out of you because a certain Mr. Levesque and maybe a Mr. Pritchard told them to do it because they know how serious you take this. How serious you take this because some of you do this for a living. And you just can't accept the fact that sometimes things like, things like these news items that you get from behind the scenes may or may not be true. I mean, seriously, let me ask you this, and I say it with all due respect. What are your sources within the company? Do they have a name? Do they have a name? Do they have a code name you can go by? Do they have a code name? And, an alias, if you will. Do they have any of that, that you can go by, that you can let us know, as being the person leaking out that information to you, giving you this information? What are their names? What are their names? Exactly. They have no names because these sources want to remain anonymous because they know they're probably throwing you off the trail. They are. They are throwing you off the trail, and they know it. They know it, and they're getting a laugh out of it, and they're doing it at the behest. They are doing it at the behest, of Triple H, Paul Levesque, and maybe many others, maybe even of Vince, but mostly of a Triple H. And you don't seem to realize that that's probably what's going on. Remember what they once said. WWE came out and once said years ago that they are in the reactional business. And guess what? That means no matter how it's done, they are going to find a way to get a reaction out of you. And nowadays they're playing into the fact that they know fans go on places like YouTube, go on places like Spotify, go on places like Dailymotion, Twitch, you name it, and they talk about wrestling, they review wrestling, they give their thoughts about wrestling, and they do it for a living, either as a full-time job, part-time job, semi-full-time, whatever. They do it for a living to make money, to put food on their table, to provide themselves with some luxuries they wouldn't normally get all the time, to pay bills, to pay rent. They know people do that. They know people do that, and because they know that, they're playing into it more. And by playing into it more, it's going back to what they once stated. They're getting a reaction out of you, not just because of what they do on television. No, in front of the camera or in the ring. They're doing it, but they're also now applying that to outside of it with all these reports, all these rumors, all these backstage info and everything. They know what they're doing. And AEW is the same way. New Japan is the same way. MLW, Impact, any major or minor international or not pro wrestling company, they know what they're doing and everything nowadays when it comes to seeing what kind of reaction people like a JD, like a Just Alex, like a Solomon and all that will have if information comes out of, oh, this is what's going on and everything, from the so and so source who doesn't have a name or wants to remain anonymous because they're just being told maybe to do their job, by those higher up on the inside of the company, just because all those people want on the higher up end of things is to get a reaction out of you. And you know it. All of you know it. I mean, come on. Again, what is the names? What are the real names? What is the alias? What are the code names of these sources that give you this information? What are the names? I would like to know. I know others, would like to know. But, what are their names? What are the names? Because if you can't give us a name, then how are we supposed to believe, and I do apologize for that lag there, my computer's loading right now, but how are we supposed to believe, anything they tell you? And thus, you kind of inform us about, what are we supposed to believe? We can't believe anything. We can't. This is why some people come out and they comment the way they do. And they say, oh, well, you're just believing a bunch of BS. Because even they don't believe what you're being told. This is why you have critics out there basically flaming up and roasting, the likes of JD, flaming and roasting the likes of Just Alex and Solomonster and Sean Ross Sapp and Good Mic Work and all of them. And even Brian Zane Wrestling with Regret. This is why they're roasting them and flaming them as best they can, because they don't believe any of the information they're being fed by the so-called inside sources of the companies. Because there are times you might say, oh, well, this happened and everything, and this is what's going on. And then yet, when you watch what's happening that night on said show, it's completely the opposite of what's been reported. And you're like, well, wait a minute. But wait a minute. They said this. They said that. And then when you see the exact opposite of what was reported, that's when you start questioning. Are these people really telling us the truth, or are they making stuff up, or the sources they're getting the information from, feeding them a bunch of horse crap, just to get a reaction out of them and the fans that they know they'll report the stuff to. That's. At the end of the day, folks, that, again, is what this is all about. Getting a reaction. That is what this is all about. I mean, let's go back to Raw. Let's go back to Raw this past Monday night. A lot of people said that Raw was decent. Okay? And that Vince did change one thing. Vince changed Seth Rollins' open challenge that basically would have kicked off Monday Night Raw, into basically getting more heat on Finn Balor to stay in tone, for the match at Money in the Bank next Saturday. That was the report, that Vince basically had changed the open challenge to have Finn Balor attack Seth to get more heat on him. And that the original plan was for Tommaso Ciampa, the returning Tommaso Ciampa, to come out to his hometown, and challenge Seth for the title. But instead, Tommaso came back and faced The Miz. Now, what's interesting is that they say the talent was frustrated. But is that true? Because from what I can tell, just by the highlights and everything, it didn't seem like there was that much frustration. There wasn't. So, you have to wonder whether or not, Vince did make that change, or he suggested it, and Triple H was like, you know what, you're right. We do need to put more heat on the Finn Balor Seth Rollins match fans. fans expect all companies to be the same. And not realizing that companies have to be different to be unique and everything. And that, by being different and being unique, it becomes more appealing to the fan base. That, they're trying to attract themselves to. So I think what's going on is fans become so complacent that they expect, WWE, storyline wise and in ring wise mostly to be like AEW. And there are some fans that are complacent that they expect AEW to be like, WWE or to be the modern day version of a mid-90s WCW. There are fans that they look at what's going on in Impact and everything, and they expect them to be a modern day Ring of Honor, if you will. A modern day Ring of Honor of old. And, some fans look at GCW and they say, well, they're living up to the hype of being a modern day ECW. The point is fans, they expect, because they become so complacent, they expect companies to be like, another company or be, like each other. Not realizing that uniqueness and difference is what makes them appealing to the fan base. Overall fan base, not just their niche, hardcore fan base or casual fan base, but the overall fan base. So to me, basically, fans are becoming complacent. They have become too complacent to the point they expect wrestling companies to all be the same. And that's not how it works. So I think what fans need to do is wake up and realize that's never, ever going to happen in this business. Never. Because all companies are different for a reason. They're different because it makes them appealing and attractive to the overall, not just the niche, not just the hardcore, not just the niche casual, the niche hardcore, but the overall, in the grand scheme of things, wrestling community and fan base. That is why, that is why they present themselves the way they do. So, that's all I'm going to really say, guys. But let me know what your thoughts are. Comment below. Live chat during the premiere. Superchats will be open during the live chat if you want help there. Super thanks afterwards. Also check out the Teespring store. Also check me out at Patreon, .com at BW Roses. Also check out my BW Roses Spotify, which I will be putting some more audio up very soon. But yeah, I just wanted to come out here and give you my thoughts on this, guys, because one, again, you get all this information and all that, and you don't know whether or not it's, true information you're getting from inside sources, or it's just information that's being, fed to you because they're being told by the higher ups, get a reaction out of these people by having these people, tell the other fans what's going on. So you got to be careful, because all it really is reaction. It's all about reaction. And also, you need to stop being so complacent. Stop being so complacent about, wrestling companies need to be just like, like each other, be the same, because that's not how wrestling works, and you need to get over that. But guys, give me your thoughts again overall. Live chat during the premiere where Superchats will be open, and I will talk to you later.